Hello everyone, it's Campbell here coming at ya with another video, and today welcome to yet another part of the DCL video series. Woo! Yes, this is part number 5 in this DCL series, telling you all about my Disney Cruise Line journey. If you've missed any past episodes of this DCL series, a playlist is going to be down in the description as well. Hope you've been enjoying the series. If you have, please leave a like and subscribe for more other great content other than DCL content. I do other variety content on this channel as well, and would like to have you on board. For today's brand new YouTube video, we're going to be talking about all the different places that I got to travel to before and during COVID-19, and other adventures that I've gotten to take as well while my time with Disney Cruise Line. I was an onboard merchandise sales associate on board the Disney Fantasy and later the Disney Magic, and I've done one contract on board before all of the world situation. So whilst I only spent about 5 months on board with Disney Cruise Line, I did get to experience some magical places as well. So, if you want to learn more about the different places in the world that I have been to throughout my life, then please keep on watching. Seamless transition. So, we are here. We have our lovely map here. Huge thank you to amcharts.com. We have a nice little interactive map over here that you can see that I can shade in different parts of the world that I have been to. Now, as many of you know, or just in case you don't know, I am from Australia. So, haha, by default, I get to shade in Australia. There are places in Australia that I have not been to yet. I want to go to Western Australia, the Northern Territory, and South Australia. They're all 3 parts of Tasmania. I have not been to those parts of Australia. I have been to Queensland, I have been to New South Wales, I've been to Sydney, I have been to Melbourne. I've loved Melbourne. I loved my 2 times I've been to Melbourne. I loved it there. It was amazing. So of course I get to shade in Australia, but that's kind of a free one, I guess. Of course, the United States I've been to multiple times. As some of you are aware, I did the Disney College program over in Florida in August of 2018 and to 2019, and then of course Disney Cruise Line sales out of Florida, at least the Disney Fantasy did. I was based in the US. I've been to different parts of the US as well. I went to California, I've been to Texas, I've been to Georgia, went to Dragon Con, which was absolutely amazing. I do want to go back to Georgia at some point, but I also want to go back and re-explore some of the other parts of the US as well. Of course, we have to shade in this little group of islands down here called the Bahamas, because that's where a bunch of the sailors for the different Disney ships go. Of course, Disney's private island Castaway Cay is based in the Bahamas. Got to experience a little bit of the Bahamas. I technically get to tick Mexico off the list because one of the ports of call on the Disney Fantasy is Cozumel, which is in Mexico. I love Cozumel. I should have gone to see more of the sights, but I couldn't help myself but go to the big supermarket and stuff like that are there, and of course go to Starbucks. Why? Free Wi-Fi! Again, like I mentioned last week, you get to pick your priorities when it comes to internet. But beautiful place, beautiful country, and I want to go back so bad and explore more of not only Cozumel, but Mexico as a whole. And of course, did a little bit more exploring in the British Virgin Islands in Tortola. We went to one of the private beaches and stuff like that as well. It was amazing. Me and my best friend Izzy, we went with a bunch of people from the ship, and we went to a private beach there. It cost about $20 to get to via taxi, and it is amazing. And we went at this beach, there's like this little like food hut thing, and it was just one of the Mama. She told us to call her Mama the whole time. It was home cooked meals that you've like come to like know and love, and it was fresh, and it was just, there was us, and I think there was like another couple there, but other than that, we all had the beach to ourselves. That was probably one of the best trips that I took on a port day during my time before all the lockdowns happened. Next up, we have the US Virgin Islands. Yet another port of call on the Disney Fantasy was St. Thomas, which is in the US Virgin Islands. I don't remember much of St. Thomas in my time. I went to Target there. No, I couldn't tell you. But still stopped there technically. Still, my feet still counts because I was there. It was a place I visited. So there you go. Next up on the list is Jamaica. Yet another port of call on the Disney Fantasy. And we went to Falmouth, was where the Disney Fantasy ported. Again, another port of call that I don't really remember much. I think it was also just another way to get on land because you were very desperate for those opportunities. And knowing what I do now, being stuck on the ship for so long during lockdown, it was so good to take advantage of those sort of port days, and they're not sort of things that are going to be given for free. Again, I don't remember too much of that day, but hey, you know, again, another place I visited technically, so it counts. And speaking of which, another port of call that I did actually get out on, funnily enough, was Grand Cayman. I'm not counting it on this list because, again, it's a place that I didn't set foot on land because it was a bit hard because we had to get tender boats, which is these little like passenger boats that come up to the ship and sort of then take you ashore. It's too much hassle and my laundry was piling up, so I decided to do that instead on those days. And to be completely honest, there wasn't much there that sort of appealed to me. So honorable mention, but it's not something that it's not a place that I visited because I stayed on the ship the whole time. Even though that logic will get a little bit more questionable here very shortly. Alrighty, there are all the places that I visited whilst on board the Disney Fantasy. Like I mentioned last week, I got moved to the Disney Magic to sail across the transatlantic. We did a transatlantic crossing. That was Disney's way to try and get people repatriated as efficiently as possible. And we got to see the ocean for 10 days. Which apparently, by the way, I want to mention this, we did get very lucky with the seas. There was like one-ish rough days, but other than that, we did hit it very lucky according to the people that I have spoken to that have done this sort of crossing before. I was nervous going into it, but of course, you know, nothing compared to a few rough days that we had on the Fantasy anyway. But definitely got lucky with some great weather going over. Now, here's where things get a little bit shaky because these next couple of countries I am counting mainly for bragging rights. And it's my video, not yours. Wow, I shouldn't treat the audience, shouldn't hold the audience hostile, huh? We circled back to Florida, everyone got moved whilst in Port Canaveral in Florida. Then we set across to then stop over at Castaway Cay to again pick up some crew to then go over to the UK so they also could get repatriated as well. We made one fuel stop the whole way over, and ladies and gentlemen, I technically get to say that I stopped in Portugal. Definitely a stretch on this one. However, we did make a stop in Porto de Gata, which is a Portugal-owned island. Did they own it? Is that how that works? It's a Portugal territory, anyway. We made a fuel stop there before continuing on over to the UK. I'm counting it because Porto de Gata looked really nice, and we were about that much away from land. If you're on deck 1, you could probably just touch the land if you really wanted to, which you couldn't because that was illegal. Then we move over here to the United Kingdom, where I did in fact touch land, so technically counts. We stopped over in Dover, which is where the Disney Magic was heading and where the Disney Magic has been stationed for months at this point over in the UK to try and get as many crew home as possible, but they're back down to minimum manning now. And everyone was flown out of Heathrow Airport. Definitely counting the UK. I do want to go back and visit again. Definitely counting the UK because I definitely visited there. I definitely remember the 3-hour bus ride from Dover all the way to Heathrow Airport. And looking at lovely green grass for 3 hours. Listened to a lot of Katy Perry during that time, huh? Alrighty, next up. So we left the UK to then come over to Qatar. Our transfer was in Doha to then fly home to Sydney. And we were taken by Qatar Air, and let me tell you, amazing. They are amazing. They were so friendly and so... I mean, it was still weird seeing air hosts and air hostess in, like, full-on jumpsuits, but again, they were super friendly about it, and you know, the meals, airplane meals, no tea, no shade, but they're known to be notoriously bad. Yeah, sorry airlines. But Qatar Air, amazing quality, and the entertainment was amazing, and it was so good. So went from that to Qatar, stood foot in the airport. The airport was massive. I think we had about 25 minutes to transfer from flights, but we were checked all the way through, so that was fine. And we only really had to go, I think, 5 gates because they were having everyone go, particularly for this flight path, because of such a short turnaround, they were having everyone fly into that, like, international section anyway, because normally arrivals is separate. But because of the short turnaround, they had people flying into the same terminal. I'm doing this action like that's making any sense. But that's not all. So you would think that flight, by the way, from Qatar to Sydney, from Doha to Sydney, is already long. It's about a 13-hour flight anyway. My flight from Doha to Sydney was 19 hours and 45 minutes. Longest flight I've ever been on. So, we had to have an emergency stopover in Sri Lanka. And here is the next controversial pick on this list. You would have thought that places I visited would have some controversy. But here we go. We had 2, not 1, but 2 medical stopovers in Sri Lanka. Yes, I am technically saying that I have been to Sri Lanka even if I haven't touched land there. Because, again, I need it for bragging rights, people. Let me have this. Sri Lanka agreed to help us refuel because when the emergency sort of happened, it was literally in the middle of the ocean. So we had nowhere to land. And because of times and stuff like that, a lot of the airports were past curfew at that point. So we decided to go back to Sri Lanka, who thankfully, apparently, don't have a curfew. So that's fun. At least the airport that we stopped over didn't have a curfew, which brings up a whole lot of other questions. But hey, we were there for 3.5 hours while getting these 2 medical debags off and refueled so we could get going again. We were meant to arrive at Sydney, I think, at like 9 p.m, but didn't arrive there until like 3 a.m. It was a time. Mainly also because we missed Sydney's curfew, which was rough. And apparently, yeah. Of course, getting back to Sydney, we had a lot of like paperwork to go through to then get into the hotel quarantine and stuff like that as well. So, definitely an experience. Flying home to then do 2 weeks quarantine in Australia to then fly home. So, there you go. So there are all my DCL places that I have visited whilst on board the Disney Cruise Line ships. But another adventure that I have taken that not many people actually know about this, and I should do some videos about this in the future. I know we did a short-lived podcast ages ago that I could probably remaster and turn into some videos if you want them to, is my 6 months between high school and university actually going abroad and being a volunteer teacher in Vanuatu. That's right. In 2011, I got offered to go over there as a volunteer school teacher to teach all sorts of primary school kids, everything from grade 1 right through to grade 7. Mainly English, maths, social studies, and culture, which is weird that us as white people would go over there and teach culture. Anyway, run through an organisation called Latitude Volunteering. I went over to Vanuatu for 6 months from February through to July. I came back in May for my dad and stepmom's wedding. That was a bunch of madness because we were located in a remote community. So we didn't have any sort of form of running water. We had to go bucket showers, drop toilets, the whole deal. There you go. A little bit more about me. You guys want to learn more about me, so if you want to learn more about that Vanuatu adventure, please do let me know in the comments below. I'd be happy to do maybe a 3-part series on that. Alrighty then, let's zoom out into the wilderness, and it doesn't look like much, does it? So, it definitely doesn't look like much. I need to explore more of the world. Of course, you've got the United States, you've got the Mexico, you've got Bahamas, Jamaica, the US and British Virgin Islands, the UK, my stopover in Porto de Gata in Portugal, still using those bragging rights, Australia, and my 6-month adventure over in Vanuatu. If you guys liked this video, please do make sure you give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below as well. And I'm going to zoom in and do like a sort of tour of all the shaded areas so you can get an idea of all the different places. My homeland. Alrighty, well, let's take this thing to the outro. Alrighty, that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you everyone for watching. I do greatly appreciate it. We learned all the different parts of the world that I've gone to whilst cruising with Disney Cruise Line and other adventures that I've been on as well. Next week's going to be the epic conclusion to the second part of the DCL series, episode 6. Talking all about the food. Delicious. The video is going to be delicious too. Ooh, spicy. All that there lack of. Ooh, there's a radio tease. But if you want to support this and everything that I do, you can over on my Patreon at patreon.com/DaleCampbell. That's patreon.com/DaleCampbell. DALECAMPBELL. You can follow my many Instagram adventures. There are plenty of cruise line photos over there for you to enjoy. Instagram.com/TheDaleCampbell. That's THEDALECAMPBELL. You can join the Discord and get notified of new videos and get to chat to me once we go offline at bit.ly/Dale Discord. That's bit.ly/DALEDISCORD. And if you want to support the channel in a different sort of way and look cool doing it, and are a fan of the Generic Live radio show, my podcast that I do, as well as the live radio show on Station Head, you can go buy some Generic Live show merch at bit.ly/GLSmerch. That is bit.ly/GLSNERCH. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you everyone for watching. I've been Dale Campbell coming at ya, and we'll see you next time. Bye!